Gemini, this is your September 2023 soul story if you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign. This reading might resonate for you. It's Romy. I appreciate you joining me, taking the time to tune into the channel. We are going to open up this month with the energy of the Ace of Pentacles. Venus goes direct on the 3rd of the month, and you are now going to be in deep reflection through September as you come to some powerful conclusions about what now needs to change. The experiences that you've been through, especially as they have pertained to those close, intimate relationships, especially around your prosperity consciousness and your abundance and your sense of value, how you really see yourself and what you have to offer the world. And what you make those experiences mean is going to be incredibly important. The story that you tell yourself about what you went through. And so September gives us an opportunity to kind of have a cosmic reset, if you like. And you're going to be ready to shut out distractions and really settle into the things that matter most to you. And that ace tells me something. It tells me that there's one clear priority that you're already aware of or is going to make itself known to you. And the plan is forming. Now, you may feel that you just at this moment in time have fragments of what that plan is going to eventually become. But that's still significant because we want you to begin and to initiate this month. It doesn't matter how much progress you make in September. The important thing is that you take action towards it. This is going to ensure that you don't remain stuck in an energy of waiting for someone else, waiting for the right time, whatever that may be. This will feel far more nurturing and nourishing to your soul. Now, Jupiter's going to go retrograde on the 4th of the month. And remember, Jupiter, as it gazes upon anything, allows for tremendous expansion to take place. But it means it's happening internally for us when we move through that transit. This is a really beautiful time, Gemini, for you to consider working with the concept and the idea of acting as if. So as you consider where you are to where you want to be, and however that feels to you, whatever the gap looks like or the distance represents, this is an opportunity for the thoughts that you think, how you show up, the way you express yourself, and the belief that you have that it's already materialized in your world, which means when Jupiter goes direct in the weeks to come, you are ready and poised to be able to start to see that show up powerfully in your reality. Now, the hierophant comes in there with a beautiful shooting star. Nice little omen for you, I feel, to look out for through the month of September. Not only to validate that you're on track, but to remind you what you've learned. The Hierophant is a teacher. And, we are sometimes the teacher and sometimes we're the student. And it's important to recognize what you have been mastering and giving yourself permission to sit in the energy of September and in many ways allow a lot of things to take their natural course. Remember, what you chase moves away from you. Now you know better, you're going to transition to doing better because the Hierophant says we have to implement what we've learned. And that's really what all of these spiritual lessons that we navigate through our lifetime are about. We can acknowledge and accept what happened. But if we don't make an adjustment, then we stay in the perpetual cycle of still having to kind of relive them over and over again. Now, I have a sense for you right now, especially with your ruling planet Mercury still retrograde until the 15th, that you are experiencing an awful lot of temporary realities right now. Temporary emotions, situations, agreements, which means that you have to be discerning so that you don't make permanent decisions based on a place of perhaps feeling a little bit dissatisfied with one or all of the things that are kind of showing up in a way that is not necessarily where you're going to end up. Okay? Sometimes we have to be passive and let life unfold. and see where that river takes us. And sometimes we need to be incredibly assertive and take sort of responsibility to shape the life that we want. The hierophant tells me that there's something around this idea of commitment being discussed or considered. And again, as clarity comes through the month of September for you, actions will reveal why words are only part of the equation. Now, the words that are spoken through the month of September have more diplomacy around them. They feel a little bit more transparent and easier to be able to progress different dynamics and situations. And they give a more solid platform with which to seek meaningful growth. So that brings in some positives where you're trying to specifically deal with any key relationship scenarios going on. But remember, people will always treat you how they feel about you. So take note of that. The 4 says we're also looking after the important resources in our world: time, money, energy. And the more you can reflect upon the experiences that you've been through, the more equipped you're going to feel in September to make choices and decisions that are going to be right for you. And again, like I said, not just in a sort of temporary place, but also choices and options that afford you freedom down the line as well, should you change your mind. Because you know, Gemini, when you're advocating for yourself, it can make you appear difficult to people at times because they only want you to be the version that makes them feel most comfortable with themselves. And as you're trying to figure things out and process information and perhaps still come to terms with how you truly feel about something or someone, you know, your intentions can change. And our intentions can completely change the outcome of any given situation. So when you recognize that you're needing something to show up or arrive in a certain way, and how much that can really hold you hostage or keep you imprisoned, there's a willingness to kind of make peace through the course of September with yourself in regards to something that perhaps, you know, just isn't the right time to fully address or to tackle. Like I said, there's one key priority for you in September. And the more you can sort of shut out the distractions and really settle in to what that means for you, the more meaningful it will feel and the more grateful you will be as you come out of the month and sort of look back and realize what you've been able to achieve. Okay? The sun's going to trine with Jupiter on the 8th of the month. And you're going to be returning to something, or something's coming back to you that you love. There's a blessing and some auspicious news in and around that date to look out for. We then have the asteroid goddess energies shifting mid-month. We've got Pallas Athena moving into fellow air sign Libra. And we also have Vesta coming into the sign of Cancer. Now Mars is also in Libra right now. So again, this diplomacy, the art of the peaceful warrior, being able to come up with innovative, creative solutions, and being mindful where we're sitting on the fence so much that we create sort of energies of indecision is all being kind of brought into the forefront. Remember, Pallas Athena is helping you with strategy, and a plan is forming. Okay, Vesta in Cancer, your creative energy, you're incredibly protective of. Not only that, you're protective of the people in your world, that inner circle, the ones that support you, the ones that have your back, the people that feel like family. And there's some really beautiful kind of conversations that seem to be taking place around making adjustments and shifting priorities in order to facilitate something that needs to be achieved. Now, whether that's individually for you or collectively because you're a part of team, family, whatever that dynamic feels like, the Page of Cups to me tells me you're also very open-minded as to the way that things could work. And so are other people. And I think that's important because what you might have been experiencing the last few weeks is a little bit more of a shutdown or an avoidant energy. And that can be incredibly difficult to have any kind of communication that really sort of helps to address things that need to be discussed. Yeah. So the new moon comes in Virgo on the 14th, and the following day we will see Mercury going direct. So that is going to immediately change the dynamic of energy. You're always affected more acutely along with Virgo when Mercury takes its backspin Gemini. And, many of you will have learned to kind of adapt and really use that insular reflective time to kind of return to things that are important and to review things that need your time, energy, and attention. That said, it feels like once that occurs, there's much more of this kind of green light energy around you. Now, there's a really interesting surprise that lands when the Sun trines with Uranus the same day Mercury goes direct. As you harness that new moon in Virgo, there's something practical that you're able to kind of score off your list, your to-do list, and it's going to free up so much space. I mean, it may not have been a task that took a huge amount of time, but it was taking a huge amount of energy in your own thoughts. It also means that you get to then present something to somebody, because I feel like without having that kind of foundational piece, your pitch wasn't strong enough, or your argument, or your, whatever it is that you were trying to kind of put across, didn't quite have the evidence to back it up. But there's something that you're able to achieve or to do or to initiate around that mid-month. And again, that's going to be incredibly supportive for any negotiations, any discussions where you're trying to make and implement a change. And remember, Venus has really been highlighting powerfully for you all of the ways in which you have either disregarded or disassociated within yourself, and it's impacted on your sense of value and how you've been received in the world in that way. So again, these opportunities that are now surfacing, slightly by way of a test, if you like, through the month of September, is also giving you the opportunity to kind of restate your value, which may mean that you're asking for more, or you're renegotiating the terms, or you're deciding to withdraw or to exit from something because there's a recognition it no longer serves. And the Queen of Wands comes in with just like a really dynamic, strong, empowered position. Yeah, she's also helping you to harness an awful lot of rich creative energy, which matters because if we are going to move away from something or change or make a huge adjustment, we also need to sort of have somewhat of a plan figured out as to kind of how that will impact and affect lots of other things in our world. And we might need to get a little bit, clever about how we're going to make that work. But the combination of like Virgo energy especially sort of helping you really kind of notice in that minutiae detail all of the tasks and the things that will support that routine or that change, along with the harnessing of your bigger visions and that kind of warmth and vibrancy and passion that she can bring forth. Like, this puts you in a really strong position, okay? The thing with the Queen of Wands is we have to watch our tempers sometimes. So, especially as we're going to be seeing a full moon in Aries later this month, we can kind of go from zero to hero in regards to something. And you may even take yourself a little bit by surprise in terms of what triggers you or what affects you. And you just might have a really strong, visceral, emotional reaction to something. In that moment, you're going to have to just take a pause before you respond. And like I said, ensure that you're not making any permanent decisions based on something temporary or something that perhaps has even been misconstrued or misunderstood. And, that's always worth remembering when we've got some of these retrograde planets, especially Mercury. We'll even have shadow in the second part of September. So it's just something to bear in mind, okay? Also a reminder that we have to keep continuously seeking ways to be able to channel the energies that feel like frustration, impatience, anger, hostility, resentment. The more we suppress this because we think we're calming our nervous system, the more damage it's doing to us, within us, and the more healing we're going to have to kind of deal with down the line. So find the things that are going to help you really work on that. And in fourth house energy, especially with Virgo season, it's going to be about really creating the most conducive space to do what you need to do. Yeah, you're not in an energy of trying to prove anything to anyone this month. And that means that you can use all of what you would have been sort of trying to direct to get people to see you or witness you or recognize you or respect you. And that can be harnessed to foster more creativity, more love, more vision, and a more harmonious way. Yeah, it's about recognizing the gain from what's gone in your life and then really making a decision that says, this is how I want to live my life, and these are the things that I now want to address based on what I've just been through. Now, that surprise that comes in when Mercury goes direct, Sun trining Uranus, I always, I want you to kind of keep an eye out as well, because I feel either somebody from the past or somebody that feels known to you, is coming forth with something that's incredibly valuable. And even if it doesn't quite seem it at the time, it's the spark of something that I think is directly connected to that ace and what that represents by way of your bigger, clear priority in September, okay? So, watch out for that coming through and sort of connecting the dots for you a little bit, because it may just be that you haven't been able to see the wood for the trees, or you don't view yourself in that way, and it takes that outside individual to kind of highlight something to you. Now, the Nine of Wands is a sort of perseverance energy. Sometimes we can feel a bit depleted and exhausted by situations, especially if we're holding on to emotions and not expressing or dealing with them. But regardless, I also want to say, there was clearly a reason why you got this far, or why you kept going for so long. And so perhaps you need to revisit that just to reacquaint yourself, because the discipline of September and how we can work with that is incredibly important, because what it does is it demonstrates to the self a level of love, appreciation, respect, and that investment directly supports what's coming down the line by way of your destiny. Yes, our destiny is fixed, but we can have such a richer, more meaningful experience. We can learn and cultivate more information and knowledge. We can have more profound healing and breakthroughs when we give ourselves the opportunity to do the hard things and to walk the hard paths. And so I think that there's something that's in your life right now, and it would be real easy to walk away. It would be real easy to say that this is just too much, I'm kind of over it. I just want an easy life. But we never really get an easy life, do we? Something else will just come along to replace it. And if you've come this far, it feels like it's worthwhile just pushing through, just to see where this takes you and what the kind of completion of the cycle actually delivers. All right. So if you find yourself in that kind of indecisive place, again, think about your reactions and what you're making it mean right now, because your intentionality is everything. And, the soul journeys that I'm exploring this month, we're looking at a brand new energy activation for Equinox, arriving 22nd, 23rd. And in the shadow, we're going to be looking at your intentions and your why behind the things that you want. And it's so important, because as we make the unconscious conscious through that shadow work, we get to the heart and the root of perhaps things that are driving us that we're not even aware of. And those things that are driving us that we're not aware of can also be the things that are inhibiting or sabotaging or blocking or delaying or, resisting what's meant for us. So it's a really powerful kind of journey and exploration to take. So check the meditations out over on my website. So Equinox arrives in Libra season. And of course, a beautiful reset, rebalancing opportunity as the sun crosses over that celestial equator. And for you, it's a powerful realization. There's a bit of a wake-up call, I think, that's going to come in at that point in the month. And you kind of owe it to yourself to really take that away and sit with it for a couple of days before you make any firm and final choices. And you may not even feel you're ready to even do that. But I think the realization lands so powerfully that, it does have the capacity to sort of change the trajectory of something quite significant for you in your world. So where that lands, it could be something that's very close to home, family connected, relationship wise, or something that's, advocating you to explore something different in your work, purpose, career. But, what comes feels very divinely orchestrated, and it feels like it's followed up very quickly with a sign that kind of implies action needs to be taken. Okay, so there's a powerful action that you take just following that equinox, pertaining to some sort of realization that comes through. The full moon in Aries is going to arrive on the 29th, and the next day we have another trine with Uranus, this time with Mercury, which will now be direct. And so again, like the powerful sort of revelation that comes through with that Aries moon also helps to initiate an action that's going to need you to sort of, again, make space for something, okay? Because it's almost like we could take on more, but then it becomes saturated. So let's clear something out and create the space for the thing that we really want to come through. So if you're new to the channel, our last 3 cards we cover in the extended reading, okay? That's another 30 minutes or so of going deeper into the month, along with looking at a personal question and a relationship card. What I'm doing now is just clarifying the main reading so that we can see the direction that some of these messages are going to take for us as we explore further, okay? Chariot, 4 of Swords. We're working now with the axis of Aries and Libra, me versus we, and that polarity can really create at times this sort of feeling of being incredibly torn. And there's just a reminder, you know, which I talked about this with the Taurus reading, it's like when we are incredibly self-sufficient and independent and, you know, we seek to be that way, it can kind of create an energy where we're unwilling or we're reluctant or we don't want to reach out for help or support or connection. And part of that can be connected, you know, into more of a survival status because we also don't want to be disappointed, perhaps based on past experiences. And so, you know, around that full moon in Aries, there might also be something that challenges you in that way, that sort of feels like, well, you could do it alone, but are you meant to? Does that serve you? Is that really helping to progress you? Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, 9 of Cups. Just pull one more there. All the decks that I use are also listed in the comment and description box underneath. You'll also find links for my personal goddess reports, and you can see how Pallas Athena and Vesta, we also have Ceres shifting into Scorpio on the 15th, how these goddess energies serve you and are impacted in your own personal natal chart. Okay, gonna go ahead and just pull some oracle cards now. If you're new to the channel, Gemini, this is my own deck, Life Soul Vision. You will find this again over on the website along with my other sacred title, the Musings. So please check them out if you enjoy my work. Okay, we have the Gathering, Mirrors of the Mind, the Guide and the Gift, Honesty at the Edge of Quiet. That's been showing up, as has Earth Star energy in almost every reading this month. Rainbow Dragon and the Wild Rose. Okay, so let's just pull a couple more oracles to see what messages we're going to be exploring in your extended reading. Okay, Gemini. We have community coming through here. And then finally for September, we've got the dragonfly and the pansy, balance. Okay, perfect for equinox season. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you'll join me for the extended and have a beautiful month ahead. I will see you again next time. You take care.